The official start of summer and the beginning of our car show season takes us just north of the Mackinac Bridge to St. Ignace, Michigan. Today, we get sidetracked from our Model A restoration and take a trip to the Straits of Mackinac for the 47th annual St. Ignace Car Show Weekend. Known as the Big Car Show with small town charm, the St. Ignace Car Show Weekend is 4 days of non-stop automotive excitement. Our crew arrived Thursday afternoon to unload our cars and check in to our hotel. We brought in a full fleet of Chevys with us this weekend. Dan brought the Chevelle, Justin brought his El Camino, George drove his Camaro, Pat brought along his Chevy 3100 pickup truck, and Greg drove in with his Corvette. Blaine and I are carless this weekend, so we'll be the pit crew. Once we had the cars unloaded, it was time to cruise. Thursday night in St. Ignace is cruise night. Cars are invited to meet up and gather together at the staging area in front of the Kuwaitan Casino to cruise the business loop of downtown St. Ignace together. It's fun to arrive early and shoot the breeze with the other participants and get a look at the first batch of classics to arrive for the weekend. The cruise got started in the typical fashion, with each row of cars leaving one after another in single line formation. As we cruised through town, we were greeted by crowds of onlookers, excited to see the classic cars, and a few others hoping to see some burnouts. Unfortunately, Lady Luck had different plans for us, and we got the call that Pat's 3100 was having problems, and he'd pulled off to the side of the road. Dan and George grabbed the trailer with the winch and went back to get Pat's truck. That would wrap up our Thursday, and we'd light into Pat's truck first thing in the morning after breakfast. The next morning, we began diagnosing the problem. Pat had a strong suspicion that the carburetor was the culprit. Not fully trusting it and anticipating that there might be a problem, Pat had brought a rebuild kit along with him, just in case he needed it. And it was a good thing that he did. Pat removed the carb from the truck, and he and George began rebuilding it. It seemed likely that the main power jet was clogged, and that it needed to be cleaned to remove any gunk that was in the way. Over the next hour or so, they slowly removed and cleaned the different parts of the carb, trying to clean up any debris that would have clogged and restricted the flow of gas. Once it was cleaned, they put the carb back together and with the new gasket, reattached it. With our first crisis averted and Pat's truck repaired and back in action, it was time to take our annual trip north into the Upper Peninsula of Michigan to the small town of Cedarville. A trip to the Le Cheneau Distillery has become an annual Friday lunch destination for our crew. It's a chance to get out of town and run the cars a little bit before the parade in the evening, and gives us an opportunity to see the beauty of Michigan's Upper Peninsula and take in the coastline of Lake Huron. For the past 4 to 5 years, the Le Cheneau Distillery has been our go-to for lunch on Friday. They have a great little spot in downtown Cedarville with fabulous food and drinks, and it's the perfect place to spend a few hours in the afternoon chatting and reminiscing on car shows of the past. With lunch complete, it was time to get back to St. Ignace for the night's main event, the Down Memory Lane Parade. Each year, the night before the big show, St. Ignace hosts the Down Memory Lane Parade. Cars participating in the parade gather at the Mackinac County Airport and travel together down State Street and through the heart of downtown. The parade draws a huge crowd. The sidewalks are jam-packed with spectators. The parade itself is divided into 2 sections, a hot class that moves along quicker due to the tendency of the cars in that class to overheat if idle for too long, and the regular class that moves through the parade at more of a crawl. With the parade wrapped up, we were off to dinner and then to bed. Morning comes early, with cars lining up for the big show at dawn. The big day has finally arrived. With a little bit of coffee in our systems, we jumped in the cars and headed into town.
Here we go.
As we pulled up to be parked, we could tell it was going to be a packed show. We normally get parked somewhere near the middle of the show, but this time we were parked closer to the end than we ever have before. Epic Restorationz is primarily a Ford Model A channel, so we couldn't miss the opportunity to show off a few of the Model A's in attendance in St. Ignace. Now, they weren't all originals, and some were hot rodded, but it's still a lot of fun and always interesting to see what shows up at this show. All in all, 938 cars registered for the car show this year, which is the best turnout that the organizers have seen in several years. With the car show concluded for the year, the final event of the weekend, for us, is a trip to the local ice cream shop and the annual Saturday evening fireworks show. Join us next time as we get back to business on the restoration and continue our journey on our 1930 Ford Model A on Epic Restorationz.